All right, an Angels recap. We are at the 2 month mark of the season, and I gotta say, I'm excited for this, and I took a lot of time picking out a hat. I went with black and white today. I got a lot of hats, a lot of different Angel hats, and that's my main conundrum. Is like, man, what Angel hat am I gonna wear? I usually gonna try to not wear the same thing, so that's my deal. And I'm just excited, man. I'm excited to talk about Angels baseball. And we're in June right now, early June, and it's been about 2 months. I usually don't count that first week of March, but it's there. And this is when we start seeing the identity of the team. This is when we start seeing the nitty gritty. And, now we have the draft coming up and then the All-Star break and then the trade deadline. So we're going to start seeing some things going on with the Angels. We're going to start seeing more of their identity. First topic is Mike Trout. He's back. We haven't had him all May. And what's crazy is that we're in a lot better standing now this year than we were last. I think we were like, 12, 14 games back, right? We didn't even have a shot. That 99 loss season was brutal, but Mike Trout was out really early, end of April, I believe. Correct me if I'm wrong, but it's kind of the same thing. Mike Trout's been out all of May. So really it's the same kind of start, but in this case, we're only 5 games under 500. We're in the mix. We have a big series against the Mariners. We're 5 games. Oh, what are we? Let me see the standings here. We're 5 games back. We're 5 games back from first place. And I'm not saying we're going to get first place. To beat the Astros, they're always going to be the guy that we're going to have to beat in order to get to the top. It's always been them. And the Angels they're in shooting range, and that's all you can really ask for. My expectation for this season has been really clear. I don't expect a World Series. I don't expect a postseason, even though I really want one really bad. I want that postseason hat. Trust me, I'd love to add that to the collection. But I just want to see the growth, because when they decided to go young last year and do that 99 loss season, that was it. That was the youth, right? Our top 3 guys are Neto, Chanuel, and Ohapi. We're going to go where these guys take us, pretty much. And they're going to have to learn to hit with runners in scoring position. They're going to have to hit those clutch moments. They're going to have to come through for the team. And that's going to be part of the growing pains. When you go young, when you go with a young core, which we haven't done before, in this 10 years of losing, we have not done the whole youth thing, right? They remind me a little bit, these 3 guys that want to change the winning culture that's been quoted, all right? They remind me a little bit of the Angels from the past. When I grew up, I've been a fan since 97. That's as much as I remember. I was born in 91. And the Angels won 3 division titles in a row from 07 to 09. They had gritty guys that played for each other, right? Neto reminds me a little bit of a spark plug like Sean Figgins. I love that Neto's at the top. There could be the argument that Chanuel deserves to be leadoff. You can interchange them. But I like setting the tone, and I like that Neto sets the tone at the top. And I know that deep inside, he's like, man, I can't just hit first in my first at bat. I got to hit better. I got to be consistent. And that is what I love about Neto. That dude can hit. He can throw. He fields him. He's a great fielder. I mean, he'll make very minuscule mistakes because he's overthinking and he wants to be the best player. But that guy is the total package. To me, that is our star. I'm a huge Zach Neto fan right now. If that's the one Angel to me that's like nobody can have, it's Zach Neto. So Neto at leadoff makes sense to me. Gives me Sean Figgins vibes. I don't know. You tell me. And he also, Mookie Betts gives me those kind of vibes. So that is who Neto, just what he is to me. I like him at the leadoff spot. Me personally, I would not make the change, but the argument can be made. What I do say is this. Now that we're in June, I am a consistency guy. They need to have a consistent role. So now that if you need one more month, which is June, figure it out and come up with a consistent lineup. That's all I ask. Come up with a consistent 1 to 3, and those are your 3 or your 4, no matter what. And then the rest of them, interchange them. But consistency up the top. Who are your leaders and who are your dogs that are going to get you on the board? And to me, that's simple. I like Neto and Chanuel 1 and 2. Like I said, you can interchange them. Number 3 to me is always going to be Mike Trout. And I like the fact that he came in and hit at 5 or 6 and he still was productive. He just came back from a bone bruise injury, which is brutal injury. I'm surprised it wasn't a lot longer. Honestly, you Google that, you're not going to find anything nice about it. But he's the captain of the ship, man. That is our captain, and he hits three, right? That guy can hit it. I mean, if you saw his last home run recently, he still got it. He's still got that speed in the bat, man. That guy can make that contact. You just know sometimes when it's going out. That is actually my favorite thing about Neto, by the way, is that Neto, when he hits it, when he gets a hold of one, I know it's gone, and it makes me excited. And that is why I love Zach Neto, because he kind of reminds me of the hits that Trout puts on the ball. And that's a big deal. That's a big deal. I love that when Neto gets a good hit, you can just the sound of the bat hitting that ball is just wow. It's amazing. It's amazing to hear, and I think that every Angel fan should be excited about Zach Neto. But like I said, 1 to 3 consistency. That's what I want to see in June. If you need June, figure it out. But we need to have a consistent 1 to 3 or even 1 to 4. I'm not going to sit here and say, hey, I'm an expert. I know exactly what you should do. I'm going to leave it up to the guys that have the experience. But I think the consistency part is important. I think that a lot of good teams have that consistent part. I think that's just, maybe it's an old school thing, right? That's just me. But that's what I would like. Now, we need to figure out the pitching. Starting pitching, not as great. Been better lately. There's only 3 pitchers in my mind that are our top 3 easy locks, and that is, and this isn't in a specific order, but Kikuchi, Soriano, and Anderson. 1 to 3. Those are our guys. And then at 4 or 5, and there's been a lot of clamoring, and that leads me to my next point, that Hendricks and Jack K should get sent down. I'm on the mindset, I'm going to say it simple. There's nothing special waiting for us in the minor leagues that's not going to do what those guys are doing already. And here's the deal. This is my main point. The Angels are actually very successful when they put runs on the board, aka run support. That cerebral part of the game has always been important to me. And this is the reason why we get so frustrated that other players leave, because I feel like we've always put them in a position to mentally struggle because we have always expected perfection, right, from these starters. And I'm not saying these players are listening to us or what the fans are saying, but I can tell you right now that if they're out there pitching and they're not getting any runs on the board, whether it's 1 or 2, it's got to be a mental struggle. It's a cerebral part of the game to say, man, I got to pitch perfect or we lose this game. If that's sitting on the back of your mind for 5+ innings, that sucks. It's not fun at all. That sounds like a nightmare. Let's be real, okay? So Hendricks and Jack K, I'm not going to grind on them because I don't think the Angels offense have been playing good enough. They've disappeared a lot. And there's statistical evidence to show that with run support, this team is actually pretty good. They're 25-9 when scoring 4+ runs. That's a good record, 25-9. So you're telling me that if we don't score 4+ runs, maybe the pitchers might struggle. You know what? If we would have signed up for that in the beginning of the season, our 4 and 5 starters only giving up 3 to 4 runs, hope for 3, expect 4, right? Then I'd take that in a heartbeat because your 4 and 5 starters only giving up that's a godsend in my book, right? So it's really up to the offense here. We're going to go where they take us. When we won 8 in a row, the offense was hitting, okay? Nobody clamored about the pitching. The offense was hitting. So that's the key. When we were winning early in the beginning of the season, everyone was all excited. The offense was hitting. Unfortunately, this offense is a power team. They live and die by that sword. So if they're not hitting those homers, yeah, we end up seeing some struggle with small ball or runners in scoring position, situational baseball. And I think that's something that's really frustrating to see. We want to see them hit singles and get the man home. That's what we want, right? So that's been a very frustrating part because there's plenty of games, and that leads me to my next point. This is my overall assessment of the Angels. The Angels, in my mind, have not looked like a team that don't belong. They've looked like a team that can keep up with the very best, right? And they just don't, for some weird reason, like they don't get a run on board. That Yankees game is still haunting me, right? That Yankee game, not scoring a run, that one kills me. Or they just shoot themselves in the foot with some kind of error on the ground or something, or just something that can be cleaned up. I'm not going to sit here and say it's super easy to make those plays. It's incredibly hard, right? To quote Ron Washington, in his role from Moneyball. It's incredibly hard. But I see it. I see these guys. They are just a few steps away, to me personally, as a fan, from like being a really surprise dark horse good team. That's just where I'm at with them. So when I see these mistakes, when I see that we're only 5 games under 500, I do see potential for this team to really show its true colors. I don't think we've seen the best yet, despite the 8-game series. But that's going to count on injuries not being catastrophic. We already lost Ben Joyce for the season, and Stevenson's out on the IL again after just coming back with a biceps injury. I'm glad it's not the forearm. I hope, One thing we can all agree on is when it comes to injury news with the Angels, we kind of just sit here and be like, yeah, I don't know. I don't know if I believe you guys. And that's something that they have to work on. They don't have the trust of the fans anymore. I don't trust them. To me, it's the worst case scenario possible. How they handle Mike Trout, it's the worst case scenario possible. How they handle any injury, oh yeah, he'll be fine. No, I'll believe it when I see it. That's just where I'm at. Okay. And I don't know whose fault that is. But that's just been a thing since 2014. I've been living it since 2014, man. The injuries have been a pain. And since 2020, the reality is that the Angels have not had Mike Trout, right, for a full season since the 2020 season. You're not going to do much without him. It's simple. I mean, now what I love about Mike Trout is that he doesn't need to be MVP. I think this is the problem that I see a lot of fans and why they get so frustrated with Trout is they expect MVP Trout, right? He's 33, going to be 34. We're the same age. And I'm a little older than him. But he's 33, going to be 34. He doesn't need to be the MVP Trout. He's treated us to some majestic seasons. Just got to stay healthy and just got to be good, man. And hit the ball like we know you can hit the ball. That is all I want. Those are my expectations. But a lot of people put him on this pedestal. And he has to be perfect. And he has to be super clutch. And baseball as a sport is a sport that you fail 7 times out of 10 and you're still considered great. So I like to give players grace because I know that statistic. That is what I signed up for when I became a baseball fan. I'm going to be let down 7 times, but 3 out of those 10 times, you give me 10 at-bats, I should expect greatness, right? That was the fundamental saying about being a baseball fan. And it can never be more clear that being an Angel fan, you cannot expect anything better than 3 out of 10. 3 out of 10 is actually, that's pretty freaking amazing. I would say 2.5 out of 10, but that's a thing. We cannot have the injuries. We're already out Ben Joyce. We're already out Stevenson again on the IL. I don't know how long that's going to take. That's 2 of our core relievers. Our relievers are going through it right now. I do like Neris a little bit. I think he could be a valuable part. At the most, give us some, prospects back. And that's going to lead me to my next point. The biggest topic that I see around the league, should the Angels trade Taylor Ward? And Taylor Ward is out here hitting 17 home runs, 42 RBIs. His average is right? It's 2.14, I believe. And Taylor Ward is... he just this guy that somebody on X said it one time. I forgot who it was. But man, when I see Taylor Ward, I get so frustrated because he can look like an all-star for a stretch. And then he can look so bad for a stretch. I don't understand it. I don't understand why that happens to Taylor Ward. And Taylor Ward is a guy that I don't get. I try to give as much grace as possible because he's literally been hit in the eye with a ball, and he literally messed up his clavicle shoulder area, trying to catch a ball in the wall on the right field side. Taylor Ward's gone through it as an Angel. And when I see, should the Angels trade him, I don't think they should trade him for a ham sandwich. Okay. And what that means is outside of top 100, no. And I think personally that Taylor Ward is a fundamental piece to the Angels unless they get a great deal for a 2026 run. And that's going to lead me to what my expectations were for the season. I have always just wanted to see this year growth. I wanted to see Neto, Hoppy, and Shannon take the next stage. And I wanted to see Mike Trout play a full season injury free. That already hasn't happened. But now he has a chance to still play the majority of the season, and that's a good stepping stone. I really hope he stays healthy this season because I think the Angels need him. And so when I see Taylor Ward, and I've read a lot of literature and articles that say that the Angels have really been gearing up for a 2026 run. That's the last year of Rendon's contract, that contract that has not worked out. And I think Taylor Ward's controllable. He is controllable. I don't see them moving on from Taylor Ward unless they get something good. And there was a lot of speculation that Taylor Ward was on the market last offseason, and they didn't get any good offers. I think the Pirates were linked to Taylor Ward, and no deal was accomplished because nobody's offering anything good. So, no, I don't think we should get rid of all of our guys for ham sandwiches and roasted peanuts. No, unless it's a carne asada taco, then you got me. No, I'm just kidding. But I think that, yeah, get rid of them for the right price. Simple. If not, we could use the 16, 17 home runs. And it's only June. Granted, it's only June. He's hit 17 home runs. That's fantastic. We need that production, guys. We need that offensive production. Our offense is not very impressive right now. But the silver lining is that they're 25-9 when scoring 4+ runs. So there is a blueprint this season for success. There is a blueprint, and that is simple. Angels score 4 or more runs, and you have a better chance at winning the game, and that's really all you can ask for. What that's going to do is provide run support for the current pitching, which needs it. They need run support. We don't have an ace, okay? We have a bunch of 2 or 3 guys, and then we have a 4th and 5th guy. We do not have an ace. So you cannot expect these pitchers to only give up 0 to 1. That's ace material. Even 2, that's still ace material. We do not have an ace. We should not expect these guys to just play these perfect games and win 1-0. That's not a winning formula. That is the exception, not the rule. The rule is simple. Angels score 4 or more runs, give your pitchers run support, and then you're going to see better results because we're 25-9 when we score 4 or more runs. There's your winning formula right there. So if I'm the management, that is what I'm focusing on right there. It's like, all right, what do we got working for us? Our starting pitchers, okay, they're doing okay, right? Not really, but reliever, we've been hit with some injuries. Okay, we need to come up with a way to take the pressure off these guys. Okay, we're 25-9, scoring 4 more runs. We got to score more runs. It's simple. We got to put on the heat, right? We won 8 in a row, putting on the heat. Simple. We beat the Dodgers. We swept the Athletics. We were scoring. Taylor Ward hit a grand slam in one of those series against the Athletics. He even hit that grand slam against the Padres. We don't win that game without that beautiful grand slam 2 times. But offense. It's my thing. I watch the games. Offense. Are we scoring? Okay. Now, if we score 4 and it's in the 7th inning, that still doesn't help the starting pitching, guys. We need to score that 1 or 2 in the first 3, or we need to sprinkle in another run here and then maybe get another run there. Like, they need to be more balanced. And, that's the one thing I notice in the games. They'll score that big inning, and then they'll just go dead, radio silence. We don't see nothing. That's frustrating, too. So there needs to be a consistency with the offense, but there's only so much you can do. These guys are they're pros, man. They're pros, and they know what they know what they need to do. I'm sure that they're already being told, hey, guys, we're 25-9 when we score 4 more runs. Let's score 4. Let's start with 4 here. Or you know what? Let's shoot for 5 or 6. So that way we get to 4. But I'm pretty sure that's being told to them. I can't just be the only one noticing this, right? So, I guess that's just one of the things. That's the winning formula in my mind is the Angels, they look like they can compete. And when they score 4 more runs, they're 25-9. I'm going to say it again, 25-9. That's a winning formula. It's there. Score 4 more runs. I feel better personally on the inside when I'm watching the game and they score 4 because I know that stat. And I'm like, yeah, okay, we got a shot here. We're scoring. But when they're not, I'm just sitting there looking like, uh-oh. Yeah, we lost like 9 in those games. And I wonder how many runs we score with those games. It's not a lot. That's not sustainable. We cannot do that. So I think that is our blueprint for success. Injuries got to be tempered down a little bit. We're going to deal with Moncada's thumb we're going to deal with Moncada all season. They've already stated that. So I expect Moncada to have off days. And then I hope Trout stays healthy. I'm going to tell you this right now. We cannot sustain an injury to Hoppy, Nettle, or Shannon. That's pretty much a good core of our team. And we just got to stay healthy. And then my bounce back player of the year, and it's a guy that's done it many times. There's statistical evidence to support that he can warm up in the summer. That's Renifo. That's Giffy. That guy, he can hit the ball. He's had a wrist and bicep injury. So I'm not ready to bail on him because I've seen this song and dance before. In the beginning, he's like, okay, I'll just play anywhere. And, he barely hits. It's not really good. It's not been really good this season. Let's be honest. But I will give him a little bit more patience because I know that he is capable of putting up those numbers in the summer. And I hope and expect that Renifo does that. If not, guess what? We got a second baseman in the minors that probably will take your job. If you're not going to help us out, then we're going to help ourselves out. And I think he knows that. So that is the main deal when it comes to the Angels. And then there's one last thing that I see a lot of fans talking about, and that is, we're misusing our minor league pitchers, our starters in the minor leagues. And this is a weird one for me because since, I don't know, maybe it's just me, but I've never seen a problem with that. I've never seen a problem with getting a minor league pitcher, whether it's a simple as just eating innings, whether it's that simple or that little of a role. I've never seen a problem with it. It gets them experience. It gets them to face real pro hitting. And then if they don't do well, they can go back to the minor league and fix it. If they do well, then they probably fast track themselves up on the ladder there and they're going to get a deeper look. So I see it as a win-win. But apparently some people think that we are mismanaging our minor league pitchers by bringing them up to eat innings. And that is exactly what it is. They're just here to eat innings. And I never saw it that way. And I have not yet seen any statistical evidence to show that can affect each player. Now, here's the deal. We don't have anyone special waiting in the minor leagues. That's the reality. And it's not like we have a Paul Skeens just sitting there waiting and being used for bullpen. So we have some guys that need some experience. And from what I've been reading, and other podcasters have said the same, this is a Perry thing. This is a Perry thing he did with the Braves. He values innings and he values experience. And I think it's okay. I think it's okay to do all that. And I'm not really mad about it. I've never really seen a big problem with using a lot of your guys in the minor leagues. It's probably the only chance that these guys are going to get to make some kind of a splash. Simple. Because we don't have a guy simply that we can bring up and just start being in the starting rotation. And some people will point Detmers, and I love Detmers. And I've made a video criticizing Detmers because he has let me down a lot personally. I'm a big Detmers fan. He's supposed to be our ace. And Detmers has been pitching since 2022, and he's been given opportunities to be that guy for the Angels, and it hasn't happened. Some of the biggest blowouts in the starting rotation belong to Detmers. And everyone is really just like, the Angels are mismanaging all of our starting pitching. We've had multiple pitching coaches. None of them worked out. And I see it as this, and this is simple. I see something very small, and this is just my observation and my opinion, but I see that the offense has been hit with injuries so bad since 2020 that we've literally have not had guys just come in and put in that run support for these pitchers, and then they struggle mentally and they're forced to pitch this perfect game, and then they can't do that. So I think that with a balance, I call it checks and balances of baseball, okay? I think that with the Angels putting up some run support, our pitchers are going to play better because they're going to feel better mentally. It's a mental game sometimes. It's just that simple. And it's always been a mental game. It's a cerebral game. It's a very complicated game. And I think personally that a pitcher plays better with a little bit of run support, because then that pressure of saying, hey, I got to pitch this perfect game in order to play good doesn't run amok in their head while they're pitching for the team. Man, just imagine the amount of pressure of holding a team to 0 or 1 throughout the game because your offense is not giving you anything. And then it's on you if you lose the game, or it's on the bullpen. That's a lot of pressure. Just thinking about it, man. I'm sitting here nervous. I'm like, oh man, I don't never want to be in those shoes. But that's what I think with Detmers is I think he has the stuff. I think he has the pitching. It's a mental thing for me. And when I saw him in this last game against the Sox and I saw him get a save, I really like that. Why? Well, because Detmers struggles mentally, and that is the most insane. Getting a save, my favorite position in baseball is a closer for a reason. Okay, it's because those guys come in the most intense circumstances, and you have to win the game. It's on you, man. And so for Detmers to come out and do that and get that save, right, in Boston and record, the Angels messed up that inning. They only got one run. They have bases loaded with no outs, and they ended up with one run. It's like, come on. I was frustrated watching that game. And then Detmers comes in. I'm thinking, well, we put him in a losing position. I would not be shocked if he gave up this run. It's almost an automatic run at second. It's a shadow runner. He didn't. And I was super impressed by that outing. And I do think that if he plays consistent baseball like that, he will be given another shot. Because our fourth and fifth starters, Hendricks and Jack K, are they anything special right now? No. Do they have some potential? I think Jack K has more potential. Obviously, he's young. Hendricks, I think he's just a fill-in guy. He is what it is. He is what he is, right? He's there for his experience. He's there to groom the young guys, and that's his role on this team. And I think he should continue that role. He's had some good games this year, some important games with that experience that these young guys probably wouldn't have been able to do. So Detmers, to me, is the guy that may or may not slide into the rotation. That's the only change in the rotation that you can make in my mind. I have argued that Dana should be given a shot. I still believe that. I still think that he should be given a shot at the end of the season. If we're out of it, give Dana a shot. I want to see a good long look. I know he's young, but I want to see a good long look, because he, in his game, his brief little call up, he struggled that one inning he was in. But then if you look at the second inning, this is something I look at. He was nails. He was throwing good. I liked his pitches, and that's what I wanted to see. Is one of the things you would like to see from a pitcher is, hey, how do they do when the inning goes to crap? How do they do the next inning? And Dana passed that eye test to me. So, like I said, nothing special. I don't want to sit here and tell everyone that Dana and Detmers are going to save the day, but it's unrealistic to think that Dana and Detmers are not going to give up 3 and 4, which is what these guys are doing right now. And it's unrealistic to think that, first off, it's unrealistic to think that these guys are going to come in here and pitch perfect, because they're not. So it really just points back to, and we're just circling back to my original point, is there's a winning formula with the Angels, and that's simple. 25-9, 4+ runs. 25-9, 4+ runs. So offense, run support, that is the key in my book. And Trout being healthy, that's another key. Come on, let's be realistic here. How many of these really good teams make the postseason and make a deep run without their star? Show me. Imagine the Yankees without Aaron Judge. Imagine the Dodgers if they didn't have one of their guys. I mean, Betts and Freeman. They've always had Betts and Freeman, at least before show, right? Imagine the Cleveland Guardians without Jose Ramirez. It's just not a thing, right? Or what about the Padres without Tatis, right? Or Machado. So you need your stars, and Trout doesn't need to be MVP Trout, but I still think he is a good player and he can be good Trout. And what that looks like to me is simple. He doesn't need to hit 300 anymore. I take 250 right now with the home runs and a little bit of more run support with the RBIs, and I'd be happy with that as long as you're healthy, because he hasn't been healthy. So that's where I'm at right now. The Angels, simple. Score more runs, more run support, 4+, 25-9. Say it again. And get as close to 500 as you can by the All-Star break. So you don't need to be over 500. I would love it. I would love to see you guys go on another 8-gamer. That'd be fun. We would all be happy for that. But you don't need to. There is a history of success with just getting to 500 and or close to 500, or maybe a couple games over 500, just getting that mark and then start building from there. And if that doesn't happen, if that's not going to happen at all this season, then we got to sell. It's simple. We got to stock up for 2026, and we got to continue. You know, they said they wanted to make a run by 2026. My expectation as an Angel fan with this young core is that they needed some time. Even though they didn't say it, they should have just come out and said it, man. Just come out and tell everyone, hey guys, we're building our young core and we need some time and we really want to compete by X amount of years. And I don't know a lot of Angel fans that would not be, they would value the honesty and be like, I'm for it. Let's do it. That's what you want. Cool. I'm going to come in there. I'm going to support the young guys. And that's what I'm doing as a fan. I'm here to support the young guys. I love watching Neto, Hoppy, and Shanwell. To me, they're worth the price of admission. We went on an 8-gamer without Trout. Those guys can do it. We're going to go where they take us and add in that leadership and that hitting by Trout. I like that. That excites me as an Angel fan. That gives me a reason to say, hey, I want to go and watch these guys play. There's that reason there for me. But I wish they would have just come out and just said it. Hey, we need to build our youth. It's going to take a little longer, but we want to build our youth. Is that cool? And a lot of us would have probably been like, sure, you know. But it's been a long time. It's been a long time. It's been over 10 seasons of losing. It sucks. It's not fun for anyone. And I know we want to win, you know, or not we, but the Angels, I know they want to win. And we as fans want to see a winning product on the field. And I get that because I want to see the same thing too. There's nobody out there, you know, no matter how optimistic I sound, or no matter how I'm not sitting here just, you know, saying doom and gloom, flee for your lives, flee, run. I'm not doing that. I don't know. I think that's kind of silly, starters, but I am just that guy that, you know, when we lose these tough ones, like the where they shoot themselves in the foot, you know what I'm talking about? You know, I'm sitting there, I'm like, man, this sucks. I definitely want to just go and you know, comment on X and have positive things to say. And I'm looking forward to a day where that does happen. So that's the winning formula, Angels. Score more runs. You guys have the weapons to do it. Besides the Ford that I mentioned, Soler can hit a home run. That's what we signed him for. We didn't sign him to go and be this 250 hitter, guys. He's a 230-ish over and under hitter, and he has power. Should be like 5th or 6th in the lineup in my book, though. Taylor Ward, he is what he is. He's kind of like Soler. To me, he's like Soler. He's hit or miss with that. And then our bottom core, like what does our bottom core look like? I mean, we got Adele. I mean, Adele's having a hot streak. He's fighting for his job, man. I've given mentally and emotionally, I think as Angel fans, we've given Adele a lot of time, and we're just over it. So if you're going to contribute, great, dude. That's expected of you now. If you're not, don't let the door hit you on the way out. But you know, what else do we got there? Let's see. Yeah, I mean, we don't have a center fielder. That's been very apparent. The draft is going to be a very interesting one because do we get a pitcher or do we get a center fielder? And is there a center fielder worth the number 2 pick, or do we trade back? I don't know, but there's a big hole in center field. We need to fix that. That needs to be plugged. I hear Gooby talk about it on the broadcast all the time. Center field is an important position. And I don't think switching Trout to there is the answer. I think we need to stay committed to the right field thing, the Torrey Hunter thing. The way Torrey Hunter was the right fielder. I want to see Trout enjoy that. And we need a new center fielder. Simple as that. That is a big need. So pitcher and center fielder are the 2 biggest needs in my mind, what the Angels need to look like a better team for 2026. So with that being said, that's what I got for my recap. And I hope you guys enjoyed what we talked about. And I'd love to hear your comments. What do you think the Angels need to do? What do you think they're going to do the rest of the season? And just tell me, what should they do? Do you think they should just prep for 2026? Do you think they should just put the pedal to the metal, see what this team's got, put them under the pressure? I know I've seen a lot of selling posts. Okay, what do you want to sell for? What are you hoping to get if you sell? I mean, When you say sell, tell me, hey, I want to sell for a top 100 prospect. Be specific. Don't just tell me sell, sell, sell. If nobody's offering you anything, don't just sell. Obviously, the 1 year guys, you don't have a choice. You take what you get there. But guys that are controlled, I mean, you got to get more of a ham sandwich here, guys. I understand that we get mad at these guys, but that's just how it is. That's how business is, right? So, yeah, let me know what your thoughts are on the Angels right now. Current state, 5 games under 500. We're in the mix. Big series against the Mariners. Man, I want to take it to these guys. That's a series in Seattle we should have won. And let me know, what do you guys think about what's going on with the Angels right now? And more importantly, go Angels.